The Bridge Green Upcycle held its grand opening event at its headquarters in Endicott. Don't News' Keith Savage was at the event where the company hopes to make major changes in technology.
To me, 20 years from now, lithium battery and this critical mineral extraction will be the same as what we see as soda cans and zinc and iron and other metals. Today we don't have that. That's where we're heading towards. And that's really what we can hopefully contribute and provide to the next generation.
Bridge Green Upcycle has a mission of cleaning up clean energy. The founder and CEO of the company, Bulky Iron, wants to take batteries over the next decade and convert them into critical minerals to put them back into the economy, with the main way of doing so being from recycling batteries.
It's not about just manufacturing batteries and then throwing them in a wasteland. It's about how do we make even the lithium-ion batteries sustainable? How can we recover the lithium? And that's his vision.
Iron will be using artificial intelligence algorithms to help the system in having the longest battery life.
Why do we need to keep buying it over and over again? We are trying to stop that chain to see how do we, once we get the battery, let's use it like an investment, extract those critical minerals, and then put it back into the circular economy. That's really what Bridge Green is about.
Bridge Green's Second Life technology will have a real-time monitoring of battery health, with one of the goals being cost-effective solutions for consumers.
This announcement locates another critical supply chain process necessary for lithium-ion battery manufacturing, further validating the Southern Tier's position as America's battery tech hub.
Raymond Corp Toyota and Bankton University are just some of the places teaming up with the company. Keith Savage, 12 News, Brome County.